Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Hope everybody's doing great. Um, Today I'm going to take a little bit more of a neutral approach when it comes to the trade school or college, um, you know, debate. Okay, there are advantages to both, and it all depends on where you want to go. What do you see yourself doing over the course of the next 5, 10, maybe even 20 years? And so it's really no right answer here. Um, but we're going to break down, what I'm saying, the different factors, that involve both directions, okay, both paths. And yeah, I know I push the trades a lot on this channel, but, I want to be a little bit more fair to the college side because, there's certain things require a degree, right? So let's get into it. Let's see here, guys. All right, so the average 4-year college degree in the U.S. is, can you guess how much it is? Okay, it costs somewhere between 100 grand and 200 grand once you factor in tuition, housing, interest on loans, all of that. Okay, now a trade school program is probably going to cost a fraction of that, and it's going to take a fraction of the time as well. So right off the bat, you're probably saying, "Man, I'm going for the trade school, right? It's costing me less, and I can get done in half the time, and get paid well." Well, let's continue, okay? So, like I said, um, electricians, welders, plumbers, HVAC techs. You know what I'm saying? You can get certified in those, right? And less stress certifications because that's going to be important too if you really want to advance in your field. Okay, um, but once again, before you throw your hands up and say I'm going to go the trade route, you have to understand the trade school route is not a free lunch either. Okay, as they say, right? So let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about the pros and cons of each one. All right. So once again, tuition is lower when it comes to trade schools, right? A lot lower. All right. So um, most trade school programs run between $5,000 and $20,000 total. Now, if you compare that to a 4-year university where in-state tuition can cost you $10,000 a year, right? And private schools can charge triple that, right? You're often looking at a trade school costing a lot less than a one year of a traditional degree. Okay, there's that. All right, the programs are shorter, right? You spend less time not earning. Okay, so a bachelor's degree takes you 4 years, sometimes 5 or 6 once you factor in. Uh, you may change your major, right? Or you may need extra credits. Most trade programs take anywhere from a few months to about 2 years, and that's a lot of time that you're going to save. And as far as earnings, that's a lot of earnings you're going to save as well, right? Because it's taking you less time to get what you need, certification, so you're out in the workforce a lot sooner than if you went the college degree route, right? You're earning much faster. So every semester in your classroom in college, instead of working, is a semester of lost wages. All right, if you can put it that way. Trade school students typically enter the workforce 2 to 3 years earlier than their college-bound peers. Okay, less debt. Okay, goes without saying, because tuition is lower and the programs are shorter. Trade school students borrow far less. Many finish with $0 to $10,000 in debt, compared to a national average of around 30 grand in debt for a bachelor's degree. Okay, and that number climbs. It's been climbing for anyone who, especially if you attend a private university or you need extra years to graduate. Okay, so less principal means less interest, which means less of a loan that needs to be paid off, and so that's a pretty much a no-brainer, obvious comparison there. No extra costs baked in. Now, a lot of college costs uh, are not even academic. They have nothing to do with the actual learning phase, right? You have dorm fees if you live on campus. You have meal plans. You have the campus amenities and student activity fees and general overhead for maintaining the campus. Right? It's almost like living in an HOA, right? You got to pay these, you got to pay the HOA fees, right? Trade schools, they don't necessarily have all those costs. So most of the cost of what's is bundled in the actual, you know, uh, the actual what you actually pay um, for the school. Okay, so more of what you pay goes towards your actual training is what I'm trying to say, versus all these other things. Many trades have built-in earn while you learn paths. Okay, so they have apprenticeships, which is a big part of the trade school world. Uh, Many trades men or tradeswomen, electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, they get paid and not just trained, right? So that's a good thing, right? They get paid, you earn while you learn, right? And that's what an apprenticeship is all about. So instead of paying tuition and accumulating debt like you would for a college degree, you're going to earn a wage while you build your skills, all right? And that's like the ultimate combination right there. Okay, so on paper, you have lower tuition, shorter time, less debt, fewer bundle fees, and sometimes you get paid to train. You get, you get paid to learn, right? And that's pretty much the positives for trades for the pursuing a trade and going to trade school and all of that, right? Now, um, if you're all about the trades, you're just going to push that, all the positives of going to a trade school versus going to college. Most people that are out there pushing that message, they'll tell you that a trade school is cheaper, and that's it. Okay, but cheaper isn't always better. So let's talk about why trade school may not be the right move for you, um, and for a lot of people it's not. So let's see here. Um, Number one, you have a lower long-term earning ceiling, okay, in many trades, okay. Skilled trades can pay you good, especially if you have experience, if you have your licenses, if you belong to a union. But many trades also have a ceiling that's lower than what's achievable in fields requiring a 4-year degree, right? So it's basically saying you can only go so far, as far as earning, right? As far as your earning potential, all right? So if you're like an engineer or a lawyer, or you're a doctor, or you're in some corporate environment, especially on the higher up echelons of the corporate world, or even the tech world, which is very very big. You have a higher ceiling. You can earn a lot more there. Okay, so if you're trying to maximize your earning potential, it may that may be the route you want to go. Okay, a trade school or a career in the trades may not be um, what may not give you or cannot give you, right, what you want in terms of your earning potential. Okay, so the white collar world, um, especially if it's in a specialized professional area, um, may be able to give that for you. Trade schools, not maybe not so much. Okay, some people may argue on that, but you can do the research on that. Then there's, of course, the physical toll on your body, right, and the risk of injury, right. So a lot of trade work is very physically demanding. I mean, it just that's just the nature of what it is. There's a lot of repetitive work, a lot of repetitive strain, exposure to all kinds of heat and maybe even cold temperatures. If you're an HVAC person, you're going up in ceilings and stuff like that, and a lot of trades require heavy lifting or working high up, um, and maybe even handling hazardous materials. Okay, so your physical well-being is at risk when you're in a trade a lot of times. Okay, um, and that goes without saying. um, so over a 20 or 30 year span, uh, that can take a toll, say, versus sitting at your desk all day in a corporate environment. Okay, so there's that. All right, so what else, guys? Narrower career pivoting. Say a college degree, especially a general one, it keeps a lot of doors open for you. Okay, you can pivot between marketing, management, tech, education, and more without starting from scratch. Okay, now a trade certification, you can go deep into that, but then if you get out of that particular area, you may have to start again. So, say if you get 5 years into being an HVAC tech, and you decide you want to move into, say, finance or software, that trade credential that you have, that HVAC credential, you can't transfer credits from that to get into finance or whatever tech. You can't do that with that. Okay, so that's the thing with that. All right, basically going to be starting over. All right, so that's one thing to consider if you have long-term vision of getting into the corporate environment or some kind of specialized professional career. Okay, you may not want to get into the trades then, because you're just basically gonna, you know, not be able to transfer those trade skills or credentials towards your larger goal. Okay. Market saturation and regional demand swings. Not every trade is equally in demand everywhere, right? Some regions have far more welders or cosmetologists, for example, right, than job openings can support, right? Um, that's going to drive wages down locally, right? Because you have more demand than supply, and even if national demand numbers look good, that may not be the case, right? All right, it's worth researching the market before you get into that particular trade to see where the demand is for it, right? Because you don't want to just get something and there's no demand for it. Okay, so you gotta you gotta plan that. All right, licensing exams and ongoing certification costs. Many trades require passing state licensing exams, carrying insurance, or completing continuing education to keep credentials current. All right, these costs and requirements vary a lot by state and by trades. They can add unplanned time and money after you've already finished school. Okay, that's going to chip away at the trade school is cheaper argument right there. Okay, so things can add up when you go into trade school too. So just make sure if that's the path you want to take that you budget for it. Hold on a second, guys. It's getting kind of hot there. Sweating. I feel the sweat running down my face right there. All right, so here's another thing to consider is that you have a harder path into leadership or entrepreneurship roles. So there's plenty of trade professionals. They eventually want to start their own business, or whatever. It could be a contracting business, or they might want to move up into more of a management supervisory role. Okay, that's possible, but it's going to require business skills, accounting, marketing, contracts, hiring, and trades programs don't really teach that stuff. Okay, so without that, a lot of skilled tradespeople, they hit a ceiling where they're good at what they do, right, as far as the skill, but they struggle to like scale a business around it. All right, so a lot of times people end up actually having to take college classes or some kind of outside class to teach them these skills if they want to start a business. Okay, um, fewer transferable soft skill credentials for corporate settings. Okay, some corporate and office-based industries still weigh a bachelor degree heavily in hiring, even for roles where the specific major doesn't matter. So if your long-term goal involves working in a traditional corporate environment, skipping a degree entirely could close doors that a trade credential won't reopen. So even if you're perfectly capable of doing the job, okay, so there is, merit, okay, in getting, even in today's world, it depends on where you want to go and going out there and getting a 4-year degree, okay, even if you don't get a job in that particular field, or or you get a job and it has nothing to do with your degree, just having the degree may help you. Okay, so hey, um, so basically, what you want to do to decide if you're on the fence about which direction to go is you want to decide: do you want to work with your hands? Do you like the outdoors? Do you like? Are you mechanically inclined? Do you like to work on systems, physical systems, or do you see yourself working at a desk, right? Or you see yourself in a corporate environment, all right, or a some kind of professional career? That's a big that right there should tell you which route to go, which route to pursue. Um, One other thing is also is, like I said before, you have to research the actual demand for the job that you want to get into, right, or the trade or whatever it is, and research how much it pays. What's the pay rate for that specific trade in the region that you want to live in? Okay, so all the, it's not just about, oh, I want to be a tradesman or whatever, right? You got to think of all these things that surround that decision, right? Or that inclination, because that's going to determine whether you should go that route or not. Because it's say there's no demand for it, then why get into it? Or let's just say there's the pay rate is not even gonna it's not a living wage, right? So these things you have to these are the things you got to consider. Okay, are you comfortable with a lower debt load in exchange for a deeper skill set? Like I said before, you can go deep in a trade, right? But the trade-off for that is, okay, you don't have to pay as much debt, but there's no transferable skills into other areas, right? You could, because you're just so specialized in that particular skill set. If you're okay with that, then hey, go for it. Do you have an interest in eventually running your own business? Okay, and if so, are you prepared to learn those skills once again separately? You may have to take some college classes or some other classes elsewhere to learn marketing, accounting, contracts, legal stuff, all that stuff, right? If you plan on eventually running your own thing. Does your dream career legally or practically require a 4-year degree? Some dream careers, they definitely do require a degree, right? Engineering, law, medicine, right? Nursing, stuff like that. If they do, then that's really a no-brainer. You're gonna have to go, right? You're gonna have to go to the institutions that's gonna provide you the degrees that you need to work in those fields. All right. So there's really no right answer. Like I said in the beginning, you just have to look at the different factors that are involved and make your decision from there. Okay. So anyway, guys, I hope you got something from this, and I will see you guys in the next one.